everybody. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. We're going to dive into the reading for the week. Lots of energy bursts, right? You may have been feeling super energized one minute and super tired the next. There's a lot of different like rare planetary alignments that are ongoing, so that may have hit you a little bit hard, right? Plus there's, as usual, all kinds of chaotic energy from like the news cycle that's going on. We're going to pull a few oracle cards first and then see what questions we will answer for the collective from our spirit guides. And we'll see what's going to be happening for the week. Okay. So, first, you may have been having a lot of vivid dreams or maybe even daydreams for some of you, I hear. The first card that we're getting is your ancestry, okay? And for this one, they're wanting us to think about the cycle that we're in and how we got here. Right? So, not just like our ancestors, maybe from like our mother line, but like go back like several generations, maybe people you don't even know. Perhaps some of those people are visiting you in the dream state or like to just, like visit you in general, and they're trying to get messages to you. I think that it is to get you to understand where they're coming from, like why they've made the choices that they had, and so that you can help also learn and grow from this and move forward, okay? And they show me like a tree, right? And like there's like you're sitting underneath the tree. The trees are the roots, right, of your ancestors, and they hope that you like soak up their wisdom. Like really think about the sacrifices that they made and why they did that, and how they hope that will help you to have a better life. Okay, so that's our first message. So we have a lot of ancestor spirit guides with us, a lot of ancestor energy, and this is fitting, right? We're talking about our ancestors and perhaps why they made the choices they did, and of course how those impact us in this lifetime. So our next one is about thinking about our inner child here, especially connected to the ancestor line, because so often we perhaps didn't receive everything that we needed, or for some of you who really always felt like you were, like you didn't have a childhood, or like you were always an adult, right? Thinking about maybe what you missed out on, or for some of you, I think you're thinking about like some of those more carefree times that you had before, like all the pressures of adulthood. And your ancestor guides want you to know that they hope you can return to some of that joy. Right? So some of those halcyon days, they hope that you can, like see the joy in small, simple moments. You can see here, like a young girl, just like looking at flowers. Like it doesn't have to be something big, but something small that lifts your spirits, that brings you joy. They hope that you find more and more of those moments. I think that's very fitting, because I feel like there's a lot of heavy energy, and it has been difficult to find sources of joy, right? It feels like very serious all the time. Probably our conversations, even with our friends, are tending to be deeper and serious, and they hope that you will find some of that joy. And of course, this is also a message for you to think about the ways that you need to nurture yourself, especially if you don't feel like you received all the nurturing that you needed, or that something was lacking. And I think for some people listening, you might not know what that is even now. It might be something that you have to do a little bit of work to figure out, this is where this is coming from, or this is why I'm in these patterns, right? So this is something for you to continually work on. Okay, work on nurturing the inner child that is there. Now, let's pull a couple other cards from a different deck, and we'll see what other messages the guides have for us. I hear in my head they say, like, be careful if you're someone who's just been like planning, daydreaming, but you're always like either like saving for a rainy day, or you're like you don't ever take any action on your planning. Be careful that you're wasting your days away, is what they say. Like there's a time and a place for the planning process. Not that you should skip that, but then at some point, you've got to take that leap of faith and, choose to execute, do the thing that you wanted to do. Maybe, could be in terms of career, relationship, or maybe physically moving somewhere, right? But they want to make sure that you aren't just, wistfully thinking, but that you think about how you can put things into motion. And I know that can be harder for some people because there's barriers, right? Okay, so our first card, this is fitting based on what I just heard, but it's the poison thorn, right? Which is low vibration. Okay, so and the next one we got was raise your vibration. Cast the circle, raise your vibration. So if you've been thinking about ways to elevate your vibration, and what does that mean, right? I don't mean like this in terms of some weird spiritual gobbledygook, but you probably can tell when somebody feels like light, right? Like people gravitate towards you. You're probably the person that random people always want to talk to in stores, right? Like people stop by your office at work. If you're that person, right, that resonates with you, you're probably vibrating at a higher frequency, and people can pick up on that, even in the subtle layers, right? So if you feel like you have not been shining as much as you would like to, or you feel like a little bit down, maybe you experience this as like fatigue or something like that, or chronic fatigue. Think about the ways that you can help yourself to raise your frequency. Okay, so and what they're telling me is this again. There's a lot of like books written on raising your vibration. You could do that. Say if you're like love reading books, which I do. You could do something like that and see what resonates with you, right? Again, if something doesn't landing on you well, like you don't. It's not like ringing a bell for you, just ignore that. That part's not for you then. Just pick up on the pieces that make sense to you. But this could be something subtle too, right? To raise your vibration. For me, as you see the rose here, so for me personally, when I feel like my vibration is a little bit down, and I felt very fatigued this week also, I garden. I like physically, I don't wear gloves. I put my hands in dirt and I grow things, and that helps me raise my vibration. I really feel it. I feel it like big time when I do that, and all the flowers blooming in my garden, that helps me feel like it raises my vibration a bit. It could be something like cycling kindness, right? Paying forward kindness to other folks. Again, this can be in such subtle ways, and it doesn't have to have like a monetary component. If you have time, stop to remember, to be kindful to other folks, right? Like small little things can help you raise your vibration. So think about ways that you can elevate your vibration, and the things that are maybe keeping you down a little bit. Like maybe you work in a toxic workplace, or you're around a toxic group of folks a lot, and and maybe they're like bringing you down. And so figure out ways that you can elevate that. Especially because the next one that we saw was that cast the circle, raise your vibration. So yes, could you do spell work, rituals? Maybe that's your thing. Yep, for sure. Those things are all great. and working together with other folks. As you can see, they're working together. So yes, you can be a solitary practitioner, like I do a lot of spells and rituals alone, but I also do them with some of my other witchy friends too. And that really can help you raise your vibration a bit together, because we are meant to experience and share things with folks here in community. So, and of course, you know, other people can help you raise your vibration too, especially those other people who, you know, they're shining bright like we talked about, okay? So think about your vibration level and how you can work on elevating that, especially if you felt like a little bit just like low, right? The last week, yeah? So think about those things, okay? So far, all good advice from our guides. And we're going to pull some tarot now and see what other messages they have for us. I hear a gentle caution for you to think about like who you share your information with too, right? Like everybody, of course, is not bringing forward their best game, right? So if you're trying to raise your vibration with someone who, you know, you could just kind of feel it sometimes, right? You maybe walk into their office and it feels kind of like depressed energy. Like you maybe want to, you know, be cautious with your aura, with your energetic boundaries, right? If you can be, right? So think about that. And let's see what the week forthcoming is bringing for us. We'll see what our guides tell us. Well, 9 of Wands. A lot of us are in a major growth cycle right now. And I think we'll feel this all week. I don't think that there's going to be a dip in that. I think that things are being revealed to us, and I think we at some level we understand that they're meant to help us. They're meant to help us raise awareness. They're meant to help us not only on our own personal physical journeys, but on our community journeys too, with what we see in the world. And this is a time where we can bend and shape things, and we can shape our realities. So yes, it feels like the energy is heavy, but they also want you to know that your work it's not in vain. Like there is a purpose to it. And it does help, right? Maybe you feel like, oh, well, what am I doing? I'm only like one person, or I don't have a lot of like, you know, I don't have a lot to give. They want you to know that it doesn't matter if you're just the one person. What you're doing is helping. And you'll find other ways to do even more. Okay. And so you're right at the tail end of that too, right? So if you feel like, well, I don't know, I'm working, I feel like I'm working on my growth, but I don't see anything, that's around the corner is what they say. That's around the bend is what I hear. Okay, so that's going to come forward. And I hear like maybe in the next 2 to 3 months, right? Especially if you've been working hard on something in particular. And then I hear this too in my head, like another caution. Yes, it's good to know what you don't want. And I feel some of us, especially like if you're at my age, like, you know what you don't want, right? You're like, you can like really clearly see like red flags and like things that you're like, no thanks. But spend some time visualizing what you do want. And that could be hard, by the way. You might have been spending so much time in the muck, like growth, working, right? Really like grinding out stuff that you haven't had time to stop, to think, to take a breath, take another breath, and think about what it is that you really want, or what you would do if if there weren't barriers, like if money wasn't an issue, or you could, go wherever you want to, travel wherever you wanted to, what would you do? So I want you to spend some time thinking about that. That will help you progress. Okay. So that's our first message from our guides. Next one is the King of Swords. Okay. So why are we feeling this energy? Well, There's a lot of masculine energy out there, isn't there? We've been hearing about it. We've been seeing it. Now, I don't know if you can see, there's a lot of like spirit animals on here. We've got the crow. So some of you probably have been seeing a lot of crows. I know I have. I have not seen bats. This looks like a bat to me. The owl is on here, which is, I always connect with owls. And I think that's a dragonfly. So maybe you've seen some of those spirit animals. They want you to know that there is a restoration of balance that is due to us, that is due to humanity, and that will come forward. Remember that all of us have divine feminine and divine masculine, right? We've got both things, right? So that balance is what's important. So I think they want us to remain optimistic about what, how things can change, and they want us to know too. See, our next card here is the Four of Swords. If you have felt like tired, you need to take breaks. And some of you may have felt like extra tired, like you need to take extra breaks, right? Like I was telling you, I was feeling like super tired. Again, if you feel like you need a workup, go to the doctor, do your thing, right? Take care of yourself. That's all self-care, right? And you need to do that. But I think what they're telling you is if you've been like, even some of us who've spent too much time probably, reading the news online, like things that are going to like kind of lower our vibration. Not that we want to be in a cocoon and not know what's going on, but we do want to take a respite from things. Okay, we do want to take a break from all of those ruminating thoughts that are not helping us feel grounded, right? Does that make sense? So some things to think about, right, for grounding. There's a lot of grounding exercises that you could do if you feel like you've been like a little bit woohoo, right? Like over here, or you just feel like you need more of a reset. Now that it is nicer weather, I just go out every morning. Like I usually let one of my dogs goes out early in the morning in my backyard, and I just go outside in my pajamas. I take off my shoes and I walk around on the grass. And that really, like just doing that for a few minutes really helps me feel grounded and uplifted. So could be something different for you. Maybe it's like a 5-minute meditation for you, whatever. But have something, right? Have something in place. Okay, we're going to pull 2 more cards to see what else is going to go on for the week. This week, I think we will be thinking about, here is the Page of Pentacles. We will be thinking about money. Who holds the power, right? Why? And I think we will be thinking about changes and like the cycle of giving and receiving, and thinking about Earth as a resource that we don't often recognize. Right now, some of us do, but sometimes we forget that it's a blessing to be here. That the trees are offering something to us, right? The land that we're upon, all these different things. Think about how we can restore balance with nature and earth, right? Beyond just like money exchange, okay? But we'll spend some time thinking about power structures and money. Again, heavy topics. It's hard for us to get away from it, right? And we also have this week the Hierophant. So I think this is a sign that we do not need to continue doing something just because it's the tradition or we've always done it. We can start our own tradition that makes sense for us. And some of us are already doing that. Some of us have already shifted into something where, we started doing that, creating our own reality, like I was talking about in the beginning. And we've shifted. We've moved forward, and we're like, you know what? Nope. I'm doing this. This is how I feel like I'm doing my life. And as you're doing that, I hear you're bringing other people on board with you. So I think other people are resonating with like your message or the way you've been living your life. And other people are like, you know what, if they can reinvent or move on, I might do that too. Okay. So there's inspiration that way. But yeah, I think that there's, like a very subtle rejection of like the status quo and like doing things how they've always done. And there's, like an idea that, we could do things differently. We can move forward in a different way. And then here we see one of our last cards for the week is the Knight of Pentacles. And our final message that our guides want to tell us for this week is if you've put all of your focus, like all of your energy on just one thing, you're going to miss out. Like you're leaving things out. Think about broadening your focus. And yes, this could be monetary things. This could be anything, like your stocks or portfolio. I think for some people that could be true. But for other people, I think that this is related to like work and career also. Thinking about other ways that you have a lot to give and to offer that you maybe haven't thought about, or that you haven't figured out how you can monetize it. Like it could, like what you're doing on the side could be what you do, all the time, right? And some of that I think is like, that, like you have good intentions and good ideas. I want to pull one more final card, but I think that you probably run tired, you run busy, right? You're on the go a lot. And so it becomes more and more difficult to do that. Okay. And I think we're going to have some peaceful, zenful moments here. Here's the King of Cups. And that's good news. I think towards the end of the week, we'll see a little bit of a break. And we'll get a break and we'll feel like it's just a little bit more calm, which I think we all need. And if someone tries to disturb your calm, bring it back. Bring it back. Right. So I'm not saying that people will not try you this week. I'm just saying that you can tap into that calm that I think will happen more towards the end of the week, especially if you take time to rest, ground, right? All those things we were talking about, raising our vibration, all those things that will really, really help you. Now, we're going to close off with this. It's a new deck I'm testing out. What is this one called? Earth and Bone. It's kind of like a witchy deck. I like it. We're going to close off with a message from here. I think one of my dogs is banging at the door. Hold on. Okay. And we have the Beloved card. Keywords on this one are love, reciprocity, and intertwinement. You don't hear that word a lot. Intertwinement. Is that a real word? Maybe. This is really, our final message is about thinking about those energy cycles, right? And who we're giving our energy and time to. And do we need to be giving our energy, our time, our focus, and attention? Remember that it is a cycle. Either with people or with, like anything that we're in an energy cycle with, right? Like I told you with, like I garden, like I'm in an energy cycle with my yard. But think about if it is, if the energy that you're putting out there is coming back to you, right? Especially if you are someone who gives a lot and don't feel like you receive a lot back. Be mindful that you are not always open to receiving, right? Some people have a really hard time of receiving, right? You want it, but then it's not always easy to grasp it when someone tries. Also, they tell me to remember that people do not read your mind, and sometimes you need to ask. You need to open your hand up to ask and to receive help. Sometimes one needs to ask, one needs to vocalize it, right? Sometimes we think people know our innermost thoughts, and oftentimes people are lost in their own thoughts, right? And so it can be hard for people to know what you need. Now, this is a very fitting message because it is bringing us back full circle, excuse me, I can't talk, to the beginning of our reading when we got that inner child card, remember? Which is like thinking about ways to nurture ourselves that we may not have received. And that's probably for most of us, even for those of us had great parents and good childhoods, that there is oftentimes hard for all of our needs to be met. Right? Hard for people to know us completely, right? So think about love, reciprocity, and intertwinement. These words are a mouthful today. As you move about this week. Now, I want to share with you what I just finished reading today. I'll put it up here. A good book. It is, I just finished reading a nonfiction book called Easy Money. I think it came out 2 years ago. It's by the actor Ben McKenzie and another journalist who talk about crypto. I know, sometimes I just get fascinated by stuff. So that was my last read on audio, and it was a pretty good read. So I think I'm going to return to fiction this week, though. So if you're reading something great, do drop it for me in the comments so I can find new things to listen to on my commute. If you're new here, do consider subscribing and sharing it. And I hope you all are well this week. Bye.